The cameras were already rolling before anyone realized history was about to shift. Washington, D.C. pulsed with tension that morning. The sky hung low, thick with gray clouds, as if even the heavens were waiting. Outside the White House, reporters clutched microphones with trembling anticipation, whispering rumors that had spread like wildfire across continents overnight. Inside, behind the sealed doors of the briefing room, one name echoed louder than any political agenda. Yu Menglong. A rising star. A beloved face. A man whose smile had lit up screens across Asia. Now, a name whispered with grief, anger, and suspicion. His murder had shocked millions. But it wasn't just the tragedy, it was the silence that followed. Weeks had passed with no clear answers, only vague statements and tightening control over information. Fans grew restless. The internet became a battlefield of speculation and suppressed voices. Until now. The door swung open. And Donald Trump walked in. He didn't smile. That alone sent a ripple through the room. Trump approached the podium with a slow, deliberate pace. Cameras zoomed in. The hum of whispers died instantly. For a moment, he simply stared ahead, fingers resting on the edge of the lectern. Then he spoke. "Today," he began, voice sharp, "we are not talking about politics. We are talking about justice." The words landed like a hammer. Across the world, in Beijing, in Shanghai, in Lagos, in London, millions were watching. Social media feeds exploded in real time. Trump continued, his tone growing colder. A young man, talented, loved by millions, was murdered. And the world was given silence. No answers. No transparency. No justice. He paused, letting the weight sink in. And we're not going to accept that. Inside China, the tension was immediate. In a dimly lit control room in Beijing, government officials stared at giant screens broadcasting the speech. One man leaned forward, whispering urgently in Mandarin. Orders were issued. Feeds were monitored. Keywords were flagged. But it was too late. The world had already heard. Trump leaned closer to the microphone. "We are formally calling on the government of China to provide full disclosure regarding the investigation into Yu Menglong's death." Gasps rippled through the press corps. This wasn't just commentary. This was confrontation. "And let me be very clear," Trump added, his voice dropping to a near growl, "when the voices of the people are silenced, we will amplify them." Cut to thousands of miles away. A young woman sat in her small apartment in Chengdu, tears streaming down her face as she clutched her phone. She had followed Yu Menglong's career since his first role. She had posted tributes. She had tried to ask questions online, only to see her posts vanish within seconds. Now, for the first time, someone powerful was saying what she couldn't. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Finally." Back in Washington, the atmosphere had shifted from tension to something electric. Trump signaled to an aide, who handed him a folder. "This," he said, holding it up, "contains reports, testimonies, and evidence provided by independent sources, including voices from inside China." The room erupted. Questions were shouted from every direction. "Mr. President, are you accusing? Is this a diplomatic escalation? Do you have proof of a cover-up?" Trump raised his hand. Silence fell again. "What I have," he said slowly, "are questions that deserve answers. And we're not going away until we get them." In Beijing, the response was immediate. An emergency meeting convened behind closed doors. Faces were stern. Voices were low but urgent. The situation was spiraling beyond control. This wasn't just internal anymore. This was global. And worse, it was personal. Because Yu Menglong wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol. Clips of his past interviews began resurfacing online. One in particular spread like wildfire. In it, Yu Menglong sat under soft studio lights, smiling modestly. "I just want to tell stories that matter," he had said. But sometimes, the truth behind stories is more dangerous than the story itself. At the time, it had seemed like a poetic statement. Now, it felt like a warning. Back in Washington, Trump stepped away from the podium, but the storm had only just begun. Within hours, Hashtags trended globally. #Justice for Yu Menglong. #Truth must be told. #We hear you. Fans from every corner of the world began sharing their grief and their anger. In Seoul, crowds gathered with candles. In Tokyo, digital billboards displayed his image. In Lagos, a group of young fans stood outside a cinema, holding handmade signs. His voice matters. Our voice matters. For the first time, the silence was breaking. But not without resistance. In China, censorship tightened like a vice. Posts vanished. Accounts were suspended. Videos were removed. But the more they tried to contain it, the more it spread. Like water slipping through fingers. Late that night, in a secure room within the White House, Trump sat with a small group of advisors. The mood was intense. "Sir," one advisor said cautiously, "this could escalate tension significantly. We're already seeing pushback from Beijing." Trump leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the screen showing global reactions. "People are watching," he said quietly. "And they're tired of being ignored." Another advisor spoke up. "But do we have enough to go further?" Trump didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached for the folder again. Inside were pages filled with fragmented truths. Witness accounts. Discrepancies in official reports. Timelines that didn't add up. And one particular note, scribbled hastily. He knew something. Trump closed the folder. "Then we find the rest," he said. Across the ocean, in a high-rise apartment overlooking the neon glow of Shanghai, a man stood by the window, staring down at the city below. His phone buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "They're getting closer." He exhaled slowly. Then typed a reply. "Then it's time." The next morning, the world woke to a shock. A video. Unverified. Anonymous. But impossible to ignore. It showed a blurred figure, voice distorted. "I worked on the case," the voice said. "And what we were told doesn't match what we found." The internet exploded. News outlets scrambled to verify. Experts analyzed every frame. And fans held their breath. Because this wasn't just about a celebrity anymore. This was about truth. And truth, once unleashed, is impossible to contain. Back in Washington, Trump watched the video in silence. When it ended, he turned to his team. "Prepare a statement," he said. "This just became bigger than all of us." And somewhere, in the quiet corners of the world, millions whispered the same thought. Maybe, just maybe, this time, their voices wouldn't be silenced. Trump turned, eyes sharp. "We go bigger," he said. "If they won't answer questions, we make sure the entire world keeps asking them." The aide nodded, already moving to relay the command. Within hours, a new announcement was made. A global call for transparency. An independent international inquiry into the death of Yu Menglong. The reaction was explosive. Support poured in from unexpected places. Celebrities, activists, journalists, even political figures who had remained silent before. The pressure was building. And pressure creates cracks. Late that night, another leak surfaced. This one wasn't a video. It was a document. A scanned report, partially redacted, but not enough. It contained forensic inconsistencies. Unexplained injuries. A timeline that contradicted official statements. At the bottom, a signature. Blacked out. But still visible enough to suggest something chilling. Someone high up had approved it. The internet erupted again. And this time, there was no containing it. Because the narrative was shifting. This was no longer a tragic mystery. It was starting to look like a cover-up. Back in Shanghai, the chase reached its breaking point. The sedan skidded into an abandoned industrial area, tires sliding across cracked concrete. The man jumped out, heart racing, and ran. Footsteps echoed behind him. Voices shouted. He turned a corner. And froze. Dead end. His chest heaved as he looked around desperately. Nowhere to go. The footsteps grew louder. Closer. Closer. Then suddenly, a blinding light flooded the alley. He raised his arm to shield his eyes. A vehicle. Different. not the ones chasing him. The door swung open. A voice called out, "Get in if you want to live." He hesitated for half a second, then made his choice. He ran, jumped into the vehicle. The door slammed shut, and they sped off into the darkness. Back in Washington, Trump received the update. Possible extraction, the analyst said. We're not sure who intervened, but he's no longer in immediate danger. Trump nodded slowly. Good, he said. Then added, almost to himself. Because this story isn't over. Across the world, millions watched, waited, and wondered. What really happened to Yu Menglong? Who was hiding the truth? And how far would they go to keep it buried? But one thing was certain now. The silence had been broken. And once a voice is heard, it can never truly be silenced again. The screen fades to black. Then slowly, text appears. The truth always finds its way to the surface, no matter how deep it's buried. And just before the video ends, one final message lingers. If you love celebrity thrillers like this, subscribe now because tomorrow's story is even darker.